If you're a mid-level to C-suite leader who wants to own your growth and figure out your next small, brave move to achieve your leadership goals, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, a weekly deep dive on how to be braver in leadership and in life for exceptional results. I'm your host, Nicole Bianchi, best-selling author, certified master executive coach, NSA certified speaking professional, chief bravery officer, and tough talk expert. If you're ready to become a better, braver, and more authentic leader, let's dive in. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast. Today, I'm honored to introduce a leader who has spent more than 3 decades dedicated to serving others and building organizations that make a meaningful difference in people's lives. Amy Birkel is the Chief Operating Officer of Heritage Communities, where she oversees a portfolio of 24 senior living communities across 6 states. She's built an extraordinary career leading teams, growing organizations, and navigating the complex challenges that come with caring for some of our most vulnerable populations. But what I admire most about Amy is that she leads through both strength and heart. And I'm so grateful that she sat down with me for a conversation about what happens when high-achieving leaders realize that rescuing is not the same as leading, why letting go of control can be one of the hardest acts of leadership, and how the journey of conquering yourself often requires us to redefine success, trust others more deeply, and extend grace to ourselves along the way. We also talk about servant leadership, working motherhood, navigating uncertainty, finding peace amongst pressure, and why taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's essential if you want to serve others well. So whether you're leading a team, raising a family, growing an organization, or simply trying to step into that next version of yourself, Amy's wisdom, vulnerability, and experience will leave you with plenty to reflect on. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Amy Birkel to the Small Brave Moves podcast. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, Amy Birkel, COO of Heritage Communities, and one of my all-time favorite people just to sit down and have a conversation with. What turns into minutes can easily turn into hours. So I appreciate, Amy, you joining us to talk about Conquer Yourself and some leadership.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. I am thrilled to be here. It's always fun to be with you. And yes, we never have trouble having a conversation together.
Well, Amy, you have built such a remarkable career, and anybody that knows Amy knows she operates at such a high level. And so think about what's something that you achieved that you thought would make you successful, but didn't.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, being an achiever is super important to me. So that's a tough question. I think what comes to mind is several years ago when I was an executive director of a senior living community. I was an ED for 15 years total. But I had the opportunity to join Heritage at a home office role. And I thought, aha, that is achievement. That is success, right? I was able to help one community and be successful and have a wonderful environment for people to work and live in. And now I have the opportunity to do that for multiple communities. I'm going to take everything I know and we're going to do it the way that I did it. And we're going to go and do that. And that didn't quite work. I joined the home office at Heritage, which I love, and I've been here 13 years now. But I really thought that my wisdom and experience would just easily translate and I would achieve now even more success and take this all on to help other communities. And I learned a lot of lessons along the way that was not to be the exact way that path was going to happen.
I can relate to that so much. I had an opportunity when I was at ConAgra. It was the same thing, like do what you did here across now all of the system. And then you get in and you realize, oh, it's very different conditions and kind of subcultures and different pieces across. So when you think about that, let's talk about even just a do-over. What would be one small do-over that you would have done as you made that transition into that role? Now looking back, right? With a different level of expertise and experience.
That's a great question. I probably would have listened a lot more and asked more questions instead of going right to controlling, and that, 2 plus 2 is 4, but so is 3 plus 1. And just because I had success doing it a certain way didn't mean that it couldn't be done another. And so I think the more that I learned and listened, especially in our different markets, right? As
Sure.
we grew
Yeah.
and we added communities in metro areas, Dallas and Phoenix, very different than rural Nebraska. And so it was a lot of learning and listening and not letting that feed an insecurity, but instead feed a confidence that no, it was okay that I didn't have the solution. My job was to get us to select a solution and move on it. And I
Yeah.
think learning that helped keep me confident and assured that no, this is the right path to go on.
Yeah. That you bring up such a good point because so many times as leaders, we, especially at the level that you rise to, we think we have to have all the answers, right? And
Mhm.
be the expert in everything. And that's just an impossibility. It's just not realistic. But
Right.
being able to sort through it and find the best one, I love that.
Mhm.
So as the chief operating officer, you're responsible for a lot of people, a lot of outcomes, a lot of decisions. Where have you had to learn the difference between being responsible for something and trying to control it?
Mhm. I think the biggest lesson was rescuing is not leading,
Mhm.
and I'm a professional rescuer.
Sure.
And probably in my career have been rewarded for that at times.
Sure. Sure.
And that's the biggest lesson now that I influence and lead high level leaders. And
Right.
so my job is to inspire and empower and help them be those creators and not make them feel that I am micromanaging, or if they're not going the direction that I think would be wrong, especially as we've grown as an organization. I mean, we had a few hundred associates and residents when we first started, and now we're over 2,000. And if I didn't get that right, or if I don't quite do that right, it can have significant impact on our culture. And
Right.
I want down to the community leadership teams, they have the most influence to help a resident in senior living, not me. And so,
Right.
are we giving them the tools and resources and not controlling everything they do, giving them the environment to flourish? So, it's a hard lesson when you're an achiever, when you have gained success through added responsibility and doing well with it. It is a mind shift for certain, and not an easy one, and sometimes a lonely one. Yeah.
Mhm. Share more about the lonely part of it. That's interesting. And I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I want to help have the solution and I want my team to feel great. And there's been times through challenges, COVID in healthcare, right? Businesses flourished or didn't in the
Right.
pandemic. And healthcare was obviously on the side of having significant challenges. And there were true days where I would shut this door and here and sit at this desk and go, I don't know what to do. And to feel my team feel that I wanted them to feel that I was being vulnerable and transparent, but I didn't want them to feel fear or not safe. And so that sometimes is a lonely burden where you can kind of take out that on my shoulders, that I want to help provide that security, belonging, and hope that we are in this together and that our mission is so worth it that we're going to figure it out. But it's tough to every day put the bootstraps on and like, okay, we got this because you're human
Right.
too. I
Right.
was talking to you earlier, right? Like it's okay to feel that little victim for a little bit or to feel like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Don't live there. Don't make decisions from there. Don't
Right.
react from there. Feel it, acknowledge it, and then where do you want to go? And that's
Yeah.
something I continue to work on and hopefully try to teach my team too.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. Jess and I started, it just organically came up like 6 months ago where something like that would happen. And she's like, 5 minute funeral, 5 minute
Yes,
funeral. And,
I
and
love
then
that.
we're moving on. Like, and I was like, that's a great way to think about it. Yes, we're going to mourn that. We're going to be disappointed in it.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
we have to refocus so that we can move
yeah,
forward. So five
yeah.
minute funeral. I love that.
That is
So
great.
what was harder to release, the outcome or the identity of being the person who was rescuing or always had the answer?
It was the identity.
Yeah.
It was. I
Yeah.
I like being helpful. I'm a caregiver at heart, right? The reason I've never left senior living, never, because I love and am so committed to what we do. So because that is ingrained with me, it doesn't change at a level where I'm working with the senior leadership team. But I have found fulfillment in other ways with that. Like I just have an amazing chief human resources officer, and she's newer to us, and she's just killing it. And she's bringing in new things and doing it. And I'm so proud of her. So I've learned to feel that self-worth in watching others, and that I'm sitting back and that's her stuff and she's got it and doing it. And, but yeah, it's a little bit of a identity shift, and I think it's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying about that skill that is so important in serving, right, in senior care can look differently and can be such an asset, but sometimes a bit of a liability if it's overused, right,
Yes,
in
absolutely.
leading your organization. I love that.
Mhm,
So you experienced the Brave Leadership Retreat in Siesta
mhm.
Key, and now you're choosing to go to Tuscany, which I can't wait for. What did you discover in Siesta Key that made you realize that you wanted to continue on doing that deep inner work?
I've never done anything like that. But you and I met, and I admired your work and your books, and I've had you come and speak at our company. And so, first, I trusted you and your vision. So that felt like a safe environment. I always thought servant leadership was you put others first, you serve, you take care of your grit, right? You're resilient and you work hard. And I still believe those things. But what I learned, I'm not really doing the best at servant leadership if I'm empty, if I'm not fulfilled, if personally things are tough, but I'm not dealing with it because I don't have time for that. Even health, right? I know I need to go get that, but I got to make sure the kids have this, or I got to get to this meeting. And I think in Siesta Key, for the first time around women I had not met, right? One, it's just amazing how women can connect with each other so quickly. And you've created an environment where that was safe to do. But two, I'm like, no, I actually can be a better servant leader by taking care of myself and recognizing it's okay to not resent some of the things that you couldn't do or you didn't do and missed out on, especially being a working mom. It's okay to let that go and not be angry at that person and just recognize where you want to go moving forward. And I felt like that was a definite shift for me. I remember sitting on the beach and I didn't work. I didn't open up emails when we had free time. And I was texting my daughters, we're going to be on a great new chapter together. And I'm excited. So the invitation then to continue that a year later is just thank you for that gift and that opportunity. But it's the first time I've ever done anything like that for myself. And I'm grateful to you.
Hey, senior women leader, if you're the one everyone depends on, the one leading the team, carrying the pressure, managing the expectations, solving the problems, and quietly holding it all together while feeling completely exhausted underneath it all, I want you to know I get that. I've been there too. And more importantly, you don't have to keep leading this way. And that's why I created the Brave Lead Her Ship Retreat experience. My retreats are intimate, luxurious, and deeply transformational, designed for the high-performing women leader who are ready to reclaim their energy, elevate their leadership, and stop overfunctioning their way through life and work. It's not a conference, it's not surface level networking or another room where you have to perform, prove, or hold everything together. It's a deeply curated circle where you get to breathe, be held, think clearly again, reconnect with yourself, and grow alongside some extraordinary women leaders who truly understand the weight that you carry. Every detail is intentionally designed to support that, from the luxurious accommodations to the all-inclusive experience to the executive level coaching, brave conversations, integration time, and restorative wellness experiences woven throughout the retreat. You'll walk away with greater clarity, stronger boundaries, renewed energy, and a completely different way of leading that your team and your family will feel immediately. If that sounds exactly what you need right now, I'd love to personally invite you to explore one of my upcoming retreats at the link in the show notes. Maybe I'll see you soon in the rolling hills of Tuscany, or on the quartz sand beaches of Siesta Key, or maybe even in the energy vortex of Sedona. I'd be honored to hold space for you at the next Brave Leadership Retreat. I love that. I can so relate to the children piece, especially for 16 years working in a high-powered Fortune 300. And as much as I tried to be present, the things I missed out on and the things that got half done and I remember and them talking about how much I traveled specifically. And that was part of some of the roles I had to do. And I remember actually creating almost like a mini ceremony to forgive myself. Like you have to forgive yourself for that. You have to really have to let go because if I carry it forward with me, it's not doing any good for myself, for my family, right? For the
It's
work that we're trying to do.
It's so true, Nicole. I just had lunch about 2 weeks ago with the younger, less experienced executive director, been in the role 6 months, has 3 kiddos, 7 to 14. And sitting at lunch at the end, she was tearful and she said, "Can I ask you, do you have regrets, things that you regret when you weren't there for your children?" And one, I was thrilled that she felt comfortable to ask me that. But second, I just said, I would not be honest with you if I said I could name quickly 20 things that I missed that I have guilt over. I could go through the list, right? I made trade-offs that I was able to do different things for my girls, or we had different experiences, or I see the young women that they are now, knowing that part of us going through what we did is what got them here. And so I said, it was a choice that I made, and we talk about it and you reevaluate it. But you're right, you can't look back. I can't change it anyway. And so I hope that resonated with her because I'm sitting across from her, seeing where we all were, right? She's doing the climb. She loves her job. She loves her community. She wants to be at everything. She doesn't want to be doing emails sitting on the couch next to her kiddos. And I think as employers, it's so important that we recognize that we don't want her doing that either.
Right.
And especially in our environment, healthcare is 24/7. And so that's something I really talk a lot about with my team here, from our HR leader to a vice president of operations. The associate experience is like the most important thing we need to think about to have the resident experience. And
Oh,
it was just fascinating sitting across from her thinking, oh my gosh, that was me how many years ago? And I want her to make the right decision for her. And I hope that's the blend that she can still feel fulfilled professionally and personally.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I hope we get many more opportunities to have conversations like that with those that are emerging and continuing to
Yes.
climb and
Yes.
see, because I didn't get to have those conversations when I was climbing and I didn't have
Right.
somebody mentor me in that space. And so the opportunity for us to be able to do that now, I think is super powerful.
I agree. Absolutely.
So people often look at leaders like you and assume confidence comes naturally. I mean, you have this beautiful energy, you have this confidence, this poise. What's something you've had to stop carrying because everyone else assumed you were strong enough to handle it?
Having the right answer. I didn't always know what we should do. And I think the best thing is when I was willing to kind of sit at the table and go, guys, I'm not sure either, but I know we care enough and there's enough passion in this room for our cause that we'll figure something out. And I will say, not to talk about COVID a lot, but that really was the first time I really did not know what to do. My governing bodies didn't know what to do, regulation, your sister community down the road didn't know what to do. And so that was the first time I'm like, I'm not a bad leader because I don't have the answer. I would be a bad
Right.
leader if I didn't push for progress and action.
Yeah.
And so I think that even when I make wrong decisions, we did something. And I think making sure that I revisit that, we talk with the team. I admit where I went wrong. That was a misstep. I wouldn't do it again. Here's what I learned. I don't always have it right, but that keeps me focused on the confidence to make a decision. And I'm not frozen in that fear of, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if this is going to work.
You're showing the human side of it, right? To say, like, I don't have all the answers, or we're going to figure it out, right? The hope driven mindset, which I talk about in Small Brave Moves, which is the positive expectation that there is a better future and we're going to find it, but we got to figure it out in the meantime, right?
My oldest daughter is going to law school here coming up. And so we went to admittance day. And it's a room full of brilliant kids, right? There's 50 of them in the room. And one of the professors says, for the first time, you're not going to get an A. There's a curve and you're not going to be the best. Do you want to get the best grade or do you want to be the best attorney? And how you do that is, seriously, Nicole, this is what he said. He said, you have to be brave in class. You have to be willing to speak up, to say your opinion, to raise. And I'm like, he's exactly right. You just have to do something, be in the room and be willing to go, I'm going to throw this out there, right? We have a thing in our office. We talk about no bad brainstorm, right? And people will say,
Yeah.
no bad brainstorm right before maybe they say something kind of wild or goofy. But that kind of sets a culture of, yeah, let's really be creative and open-minded. And so I love that.
And what a powerful way to set up the beginning for them, right? Like
Yeah.
letting them know. I got goosebumps when you said you just have to be brave in the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
And I sharing your unformulated opinions early on can be very
Yes.
challenging, right? And
Yes.
very intimidating.
Right.
And so tell our listeners, who are you when you're not the leader, the fixer, or the person who everyone depends on?
Oh, I think I'm always trying to seek peace. I'm very strong in my faith. And so I'm always evaluating, am I being a good person? Am I being a person that my loved ones would be proud of? Right. And so I look for peace and fulfillment. And honestly, I can be quiet too, believe it or not. I'm not always loud, and right? I love to sit out on my back deck, and I grew up in a very rural area in Nebraska, right? And so the outdoors, I love that peace and quiet and trying to be close to my faith and just try to remember like, just keep doing the best that you can every day and forgive yourself when you don't. Oh, yeah. I'm not that exciting, really.
Oh, I think you're being extremely humble because I see you as you move through life as somebody who's so warm, so caring, and somebody who shows up big for others. So I would add that into that description as well. So
Oh, thank
um,
you.
when you look at this season of your life, where are you still trying to conquer circumstances, outcomes, or maybe even other people instead of conquering yourself?
I turned 50 this year and kids are going on and doing their thing. And I think I'm trying to honestly get to a place where I'm growing other folks and I'm not going to do this seat forever. And I can still feel fulfillment in another way and influence and support in not the highest chair in a company. And that's okay. And it makes me excited because when you are very ambitious and achievement oriented, you get to this and it's like, oh, well, now what do I do? And so
Yeah.
I'm challenging myself through you, honestly, through these retreats to reevaluate my personal core values. Have they changed as you go from being a mother of young children? I think empowering others, like it's this new generation, obviously with my passion for working with older adults, I want Gen Z to invite them in and I want them to get excited. Our aging society needs a workforce that cares about them. And so I'd love to inspire and work with young people into come in multiple ways, whether it's leadership or dining, culinary, like there's so many components. And so that would be a great legacy, like, hey, I've achieved this, but I want others to feel what I felt and that reward of working with people in the grand finale of their life. It is an honor. I have this book that was done by the Jewish Federation years ago, and it's Omaha residents that were Holocaust survivors, and it's their picture and a brief story. And I have these tabs on every single
Yeah.
one of these people that were one of my residents. And this is my why. This is why I work hard and I want us to do better as an industry. And I want people excited about caring for older adults. So I guess that's how I would want to help influence others and empower them.
Okay, final question for those listening. What does conquering yourself look like for you right now?
It's okay to fail and mess up and still have my confidence. I'm in a seat right now where we're growing as an organization and we're growing rapidly. And it's okay not to lose myself and my vision in that. I still have a strong voice. And I do think I helped get us here. I can help get us to the next level. And I think that gets challenged a lot. And I'm going to prove to myself, I can do that. I've never done it. When I had 10 buildings, I never had 15. Well, now we have 25, right? So I know that I can. So conquering my concern or worry over growth.
Yeah. So for the listeners, if you could give them one piece of advice on the conquering yourself journey, what would it be?
Just love yourself through it. Sometimes
Mm.
it's lonely. Like yourself, even when you mess up.
Mhm.
Because others will see that when you don't feel good about yourself. I've had colleagues say it before to me, like, Are you doing okay? And I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't want them to feel that or worry about that. So just making sure you're taking care of yourself, whatever that looks like. And I have not always done a good job of that. And that's something that I would have done differently.
It goes back to full circle what you talked about in the beginning about pouring into yourself, right? And
Mhm.
making sure that it's hard to pour from an empty cup, right? Pouring into ourselves allows us to be so much stronger and helpful for those around us. So thank you, Amy Birkel, for a powerful conversation. I so appreciate all of the wisdom that you threw down and all of the learning moments you shared with us.
Oh, Nicole, it's a pleasure. I am so inspired by what you do. And so it was just great to be able to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Small Brave Moves podcast. If you're wanting to take this work even deeper, I'm here to help. From engaging in inspirational keynote speeches to transformational coaching and workshops for leaders and teams, page-turning books, online courses, and enlightening leadership development retreats. There are so many ways that we can work together to take your leadership to the next level. For more information, check out the show notes, and let's do this together. One small brave move at a time. See you next week.